Hey guys, me and Buster Green here. So I'm still working on episode 2 of Kaiser, but in the meantime, I'm going to drop a quick review reaction video for the third and greatest My Hero Academia movie, World Heroes Mission. Now, I haven't talked much about Boku no Hero Academia, but that show is some pretty mainstream hot shit these days. And it hits all the right places with its perfect blend of DBZ style action, MCU style superhero bullshit, and the Harry Potter style unique story structure of a school setting that shows children aging and getting better and bigger year by year. Now, the show is great because it has a pretty long-term slow burn quality where so far the only thing I can say for sure about it is every year Midoriya is bigger and more powerful and also a little bit more fucked up. So since MHA is the most popular mainstream anime globally right now, like its predecessors of Pokemon and DBZ, it gets blessed every summer with a fantastic movie side story. So here's my real quick take on the previous movies. The first movie is fucking awesome. It slides perfectly into the show as seemingly a lost episode, and it does this with great effect to the overall narrative of the anime. It gives some majorly much needed backstory on All Might, arguably the most important, most interesting character in the anime that we know the least about. And in the movie, Deku flirts with a cute white girl, and in the end, he and All Might save the world from a crazy OP supervillain. Good movie. The second movie, though, I absolutely hated the second movie. I went to the second movie feeling really good about the first movie and thinking it had some super awesome potential, but the second movie is really just all the heroes hanging on this random island doing random bullshit, and it ends up slowly going nowhere and slowly turning into a massively boring 3-hour filler episode of the show. Now, in the second movie, there's this cool villain that I thought had some really awesome potential to be conceptually amazing, but it never actually lived up to the hype it generated. And the biggest fucking sin of the second movie is at the end of the second movie, Deku is not the hero who saves the world. It's actually fucking Bakugo. And that's such major fucking sacrilege to the story structure of the anime and everything that the anime's been working towards, that for just that alone and various other fucking plot points, I just left the second movie like pissed and screaming, and that fucking movie is just completely non-canon to me. So, because the second movie put such a rotten taste in my mouth, if I'm being honest, after the pandemic stopped the wheels of industry for decades, this third movie finally just came out, and I was really not feeling positive about seeing it. But I basically got dragged out by my friends to go and see the third movie. And, yeah, I had also kind of fallen behind on the Hero show due to the show's pacing kind of slowing down, so I had to completely binge the entire third season before I went in to see the movie today. Anyway, so I went into this movie with absolute zero expectations because the second one was so bad, but I gotta say, I was completely shocked and blown away by this one. After the last movie being a stakeless filler episode, this one brings it down so fucking hard. It starts off by instantly setting up this doomsday cult called Human Rise, who are like this shockingly conventional QAnon-style religious Republican-coded psycho-terrorist cult. They base all this shit around their doomsday manifesto, and they wear these really creepy uniforms, which look like the outfits from The Handmaid's Tale with Boba Fett helmets on. So in My Hero Season 3, they introduced a quirk drug called Trigger, which causes quirk users to turn into monsters for like epic battles. But in this movie, the Doomsday Cult has apparently further developed that drug into this quirk extermination bomb. It's basically a bomb that releases a super concentrated dose of Trigger that causes any quirk users who inhale it to OD on contact. And they added into this terror the fact that their quirks go insane and cause collateral damage as they die. Now, I'm not gonna lie here, the opening scenes of this movie are completely shocking and graphic in a way that My Hero has never really got into before. Also, the way this is a religious cult and the way that the bombs are utilized in the opening, it feels extremely similar to the 1990s Aum Shinraq sarin gas attack, which was committed on the Tokyo subway. If you're not familiar with that, that was the deadliest terrorist attack ever committed in Japan. And considering the bad guys of this movie are a crooked doomsday cult, just like the one that committed that terrorist attack, it's pretty much a 1-1 like recreation of that. Anyway, the doomsday cult in this movie has this really dramatic manifesto that they think if the quirk users keep breeding with each other, eventually, considering how many of them are just straight up barely human, as it is, it will like completely fade out the status quo of what a human being is, to the point where quirk users eventually just are full out inhuman monsters breeding with other monsters to create less and less human beings into infinity. Anyway, so this super gruesome terrorist incident that these crazy psychos commit literally causes all the heroes in the world to like completely freak out, mobilize, and split up and go on to strike teams into every major country in the world. And on top of that, they all get these awesome black ops suits, which look completely awesome, but they only really wear them for like the first 5 minutes of the movie. But they look hardcore. Anyway, so the situation that they present in this film is really insane. Like the way the Human Rise cult is set up, they have offices in like every major city on the planet. So it's like phrased like, hey, what if Scientology just started like committing global genocide? How would you shut them down? Like, how would you shut them down as efficiently as possible? You know? Anyway, so the heroes shut down all the Human Rights centers worldwide, but they don't actually capture any of their leaders or find any of their chemical weapons. So this actually leads to the actual movie. All this was just the prologue. This intensely hardcore setup is just the lead-in to the movie. So the actual movie follows mainly Midoriya, because he's the main character, and specifically his group of Bakugo and Todoroki under Endeavor. And they're stuck on this weird fictional country that is seemingly Ireland on the map. I want to say they called it like Othello. Nah, that wasn't it, but it was something weird and stupid like that. Anyway, the point of it is it's this weird fucking tropical island located in the territorial boundaries of Ireland. And it's definitely in the European Union because they speak English, they use euros, and also for some reason it has a Golden Gate Bridge. Anyway, Midoriya ends up getting involved with this teenage jewel thief named Grotti Soul, who kind of seems like a kid version of Lupin III. He's your typical special movie original character that the plot revolves around. And I was really super excited when they first introduced this character because he comes out super cool and he comes out and he runs circles around Midoriya, like in a really impressive way. And for the first half of the movie, they don't let on that he has a quirk. He just seems to be a quirkless human, which I thought was extremely, extremely awesome. Like, Roddy is just extremely skilled in being a savvy, street-smart liar who knows a bit of parkour, and I thought that was an awesome concept to explore because Deku had always been hardcore about how worthless people without powers are in this universe, and to see him upstaged by a normal human being was actually really, really exciting. But spoilers though, as it turns out, he does have a quirk, but his quirk is so stupid. It's just like an embarrassing plot hole that really didn't need to exist. I would have thought the movie would have been way better if he had just been straight up quirkless, because the major conflict the movie sets up is a cult of quirkless religious extremists trying to kill people who have quirks. So yeah, if like there was a struggle between Deku and a guy who also didn't have a quirk, that would like make it like a human conflict. Anyway, so they end up stuck together and they end up getting this mystery briefcase like the one in Pulp Fiction. And then as soon as they get the mystery briefcase, Midoriya is instantly framed for killing 12 people in a way that is never really elaborated on, but it's some total bullshit. He's been framed by the cult members who are inside the police force because the police force is crooked. He's also being framed by this Fox News-like entity that is literally just Fox News. Again, the bad guys in this movie are very, very much coded to be members of QAnon. I think they were trying to make a point about how a lot of police officers in the USA are just like, you know, compromised like on various levels. Anyway, so then Deku and Roddy go on the run for most of the movie, and later it turns out that the Quirk Genocide cult has a bunch of quirk users in the cult because they offered them sanctuary from the genocide that they're about to commit, and really just because the movie needs some awesome quirk-on-quirk battles. Now, there's this really stupid plot point that I hate so much. So it turns out in the end that only Roddy has the skills to open the briefcase because when he was a little kid, his dad taught him specifically how to open this briefcase because it turns out his dad made the briefcase and it was this hugely epic, crazy coincidence. Now, I hated this because it just felt like this major epic plot bullshit, like that all the worst movies use, like how the Death Star plans in like Rogue One were like the main character's bedtime story, or that bullshit in like the Amazing Spider-Man movies where it turned out that Spider-Man's dad made a special subway station that only Peter Parker could open if he put his dad's favorite coin in the subway machine, and on top of that, he could only ever reach it if he was Spider-Man in the first place. Anyway, so then at the end of the movie, Midoriya, Todoroki, and Bakugo all end up having these really super intense, epic individual supervillain battles. Now, I'm trying not to spoil too much with this review, but Todoroki's battle is pretty much a standard Todoroki battle with nothing special. He fights a pretty crazy monster though, and that's visually interesting. Bakugo, meanwhile, gets really fucking pushed to the edge. Now, in the second movie, Bakugo was too OP to the point where it broke the rules of the anime and didn't make sense, but not in this case. In this movie, Bakugo gets his ass kicked hard, and he has a great fight, and he doesn't feel overpowered. It doesn't break the laws of the show. It just feels like he has a totally legit role in the movie, and he does his best. Lastly, Deku. Deku really shines in this movie, and his boss fight is, of course, the craziest one. Even if his boss fight doesn't make the most sense, at the end of the movie, just for a single second, you see this one glimmer of Deku at his full power, and you really, really get for the first time ever in like the entire anime that Deku someday really will be a full-powered adult superhero just as strong as All Might in the same power category. And that was fucking the movie for me. One more thing I need to praise about this movie. This movie fucking nails time zones. I cannot begin to count all the movies I've seen in my life that deal with a major global threat like aliens or whatever, but then they completely nerf up the time zones. But in this movie, Deku is in tropical Ireland, I want to say around like 3 o'clock p.m., and the Japan heroes are fighting their own battle in the middle of the night, the Egypt heroes are fighting in the middle of the evening, the American heroes are fighting in the morning, and the time zones are super consistent and awesome, and I love that they nailed it. I also love that the movie has this like intense movie style, and I'm not sure how they get it to look like that because I can tell it's like literally just the same show that's been on TV, but somehow it's got this extra like graininess, or maybe it's the projector. I don't know, anime just looks better on a movie screen. Anyway, yeah, so fully recommend you guys check this one out. It really is the best standalone My Hero Academia movie ever made. It's better than the pretty good first one, and it's way better than the horrible second one, which is just bullshit and filler. And it's seemingly very in touch with current events because the bad guys are this weird QAnon doomsday cult. So yeah, this movie, solid 8 out of 10. If you like the show, you would be doing yourself a disservice not to see it. So yeah, if you like this movie, see it. It's doing really good because, again, the American box office is kind of like not where it should be because of COVID. So, I mean, it's been playing like this week. I think based on how it's doing so well, it might luck out and get like a second week next week. So yeah, seek it out, you guys. It's a good movie. All right, I was Buster Green. Please subscribe. I need like 305 people to get monetized. I'm so close. Okay, I'm out. Later.